A lot of you watch content on YouTube, and a lot of us have opinions that we've gotten from seeing videos online. And I think that's weirdly dangerous because of how easy it is as an editor to change what people are seeing into what you want them to see. So, I want to talk about some ethics of editing and see, does such a thing exist? Because there's ethics for journalism, and I don't know if the same thing really exists for the timeline and Premiere Pro. Because I think there's some forbidden jutsu you can use to change people's opinion and minds over things that's not very fair. Some of them straight up dishonest, and there's others that are just, I think, immoral that are not hard to do. And it's easy to do it to increase the watch time, retention, or just vibes of your video that make the entire thing just dishonest. So I want to talk about them, starting with just simple. We're going to go from the perspective of what I do because it's just what I do. So it's what I can relate to the best, which is videos about technology content. And if you watch them on the Toast Bros channel, you'll know we do benchmark videos. And so an easy thing to say is just straight up dishonest would be to show a benchmark of a different computer while they're talking about another and just change or lie straight up about the afterburner up in the top right or the top left, wherever it sits on the screen. That would be a straight up dishonest lie, and we've never done that, but it's something that in an editing software would not be hard to do. It would just be as simple as run it on a better computer, even not even really needing editing, just straight up change the numbers in Afterburner and then hit go. And you could just put that up, and because you're editing the video, you just throw up whatever you want on screen. And the people would theoretically have to agree and or believe you if they're watching the video with any belief at all. If you're watching every video not believing it, it's kind of hard to watch any informative content. But it's super simple from an editing perspective to lie. That is a straight up, like I said, manipulation of the truth. So that one I think lies in a really easy area of course, never do it. But there's a lot of gray area things where I'm just not sure what the morality of it is, because I know in the full context of it, some of it doesn't really matter, but some of it could be taken in a way that people could argue it's immoral, though I don't find that that's the goal of what you're doing. For instance, music choice. If we are going over a sponsored piece of content, correct, and we have something that we've been sent that was $1,000 to send, but when they open it, there are a few things goofy about it, right? If I were to play circus music in the background as we open the sponsored content, it would feel rude to the sponsor that we are playing, in March of the Gladiators as they do this. So I don't know that I'd want to play that song, so I'll put a better song up there, but that song will change your vibe. There's a big difference between playing just lo-fi in the background just to chill unboxing, but then just watch a video and imagine that playing the whole time. That's going to change how you perceive. You're going to perceive it as a goofy or fun or ironic video because of the music, and that's not really a fair thing. I remember at some point being in a philosophy class in college and a teacher talking about a philosopher who thought that music was immoral because it so easily changes your mood. It's worse than alcohol because it will directly make you feel happy, sad, or other. And I thought that was always interesting, but I don't know who the philosopher was, but I thought the idea of banning music because it can change your feelings was kind of poignant. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but I just feel like, yeah, I 100% can turn on a sad song and become sad. So I can 100% play a funny song and make you think the video is goofy, when in reality it's just a bunch of dumb cuts where they say beans. Like, it's not that hard, and anyone can do it. And that's the scary thing, is when you're watching a video, you're seeing what they want you to see. But let's say we open this computer from a sponsor and it's dead on arrival, but we get it fixed in the background. Turns out it was a couple little small things and it's fixed. And this is a sponsored video, so they don't want us to show that their product arrived DOA. Is that immoral, to remove the fact that it did arrive at an arrival, even though they are willing and able to fix it for us? Is that, influencer privilege? Or is that true to the video? Should I remove that? Because that's not the point. The point of the video we were trying to make was reviewing this PC, not what can be wrong. Now, when we buy a weird eBay PC, of course, if it shows up broken, we show it because that was the point. But if it's like a small fix that's just a snap away and we didn't know, like they didn't update the BIOS, do we need to tell you all that? Or could we just have a small mention of, oh, by the way, we had a little bit of issue with startup, but when the BIOS got fixed, we were in and gaming. I could also turn that into a 20-minute section where we just describe why it's frustrating to order a PC and have it be broken, but that's not the video we're trying to make. So if that's the truth, it arrived dead on arrival, needed to be said. I don't know. I think in some cases it should, absolutely. In other cases it shouldn't. If the thing is, they're like, this is normally not something we'll fix, this is against customer policy, and we're going to recommend people buy this PC, and that they just don't want to help us, but we had to figure it out ourselves, I think it's worth mentioning. If it's just truly a honest mistake, it seems like it was a freak accident, I don't think it needs to be mentioned, but I feel weird even saying that, because you're making a decision on behalf of a consumer who may want to know there's a possibility that you may never have considered that your computer can arrive at a rival. So that's a scary choice to somebody new. Looking at my little list here, by the way. So we've got another one, which is blurring or damaging footage. We capture our footage on a capture card. Then they view it through a monitor. So there can be a distortion between what you're seeing and what Matt and Jackson are seeing during the video. Is it legal? Is it ethical for me to try to make the footage that you're seeing appear similar to how they're seeing? Because many times they'll say, oh, this looks gross, this looks Vaseline-y, this looks weird and stuttery, but on your end, it's not doing that. So to give you the impression, a lot of times I'll put up on screen, this is what it looks like right now on the capture card, but this is what they're seeing, and I'll have it do a fade into the blurry Vaseline version where I've changed the frame rate to 30 FPS to give you that kind of stuttery look. I've added a mosaic effect and turned it up, and then I usually have it go back for the viewing pleasure of the audience, knowing that they're seeing it in a higher def than the actual commentators on the video. I don't know if that one's allowed. Like, what if I didn't tell you I had manipulated it, but I give you an accurate to life representation? Is that kind of me to do? Because what if you watch the video and think, well, that looks pretty good to me, and then you get it at home, you're like, they lied, this looks horrible. Because I didn't give you the artistic representation, I gave you the real recording we got. So that's the sort of thing where it's really up to each editor to decide what they think. I think noting it and telling them and showing them is the fairest way, because I usually just do that edit. I wasn't there when they recorded it. I don't know how bad it looked. I just take their description and I make it visual, and then I ask them later, is this roughly correct? And they say, oh, yeah, that's about right. And then we're all on the same page, and I make a note that this is representation. Is it okay to cut load times? Like, if one has a particularly long load time, it is so boring to watch that. You all just want to see the gameplay, but it gives this impression that we're going to boot it up and play games. Boot, playing games, going. And if they don't mention the load times because, it happens, and they're just like waiting anyways because it's our job, we wait for loading screens all day, well, it may seem like we just booted it up, all was well, but, we installed Steam, we downloaded things, we hit play, it failed, we hit it again, we played again, we downloaded shaders, we do all this, and we hit play on the game, and then you start the thing, and then they go like, and this is going to be great. And then there's like a 10-minute loading screen, but they just sit there on their phone, then I cut, and they're like, all right, McAllister, we're starting back up, and I cut out that, and then it's like, we're going to play straight into playing the game. And you missed a 10-minute loading time, and is it better? Is that okay to cut? Is that fair to you to cut that? If we're going to recommend the product, I don't know. I certainly am not keeping it in the video. It's boring. It's boring as hell. So I'm going to take it out. It's just a matter of what makes it right to do that. Is it fair for me to make that decision for you, the viewer? In some cases, we have a product that we actually like at the end of the day, but when we look back at the video, maybe when we first unboxed it, we thought we'd hate it. So we're being very, very critical of it. But the story we want to tell is that this is a good product. We just kind of had a different lens when we began, but by the end, we were impressed. So we all remember liking it, but when I load up that footage a week later from the filming date, we're very harsh on this thing. And by the end, it seems like we hate it. And then suddenly by the last shot, we're like, we've had a week break maybe, or something happened, so the video got delayed. So we suddenly play it and we're like, you know what, in reality, due to changes in the world or whatever, we like this computer now. But the video seems like two different people recorded it. One people did not like it, one people like it. Is it fair for me to go back and cut those criticisms or remove that support at the end to make the story make sense? Nobody wants to watch a video or a movie where halfway through the main character has a complete shift in personality and there's no discernible explanation for why, because in reality there's context you don't know, which is the market went horrible or they went down $200 in price. So we have a different mindset approaching the product. Is that fair? I'm going to say it again. I don't know. I have my own opinions, but I don't want to tell you that they're right. I want you to tell me what you think is right, and I'll tell you that I think it's fair to cut or not cut them depending on giving the storyline you're trying to give. Because the important thing is when we try to recommend a product, which we do often, or don't, we say it at the end. And whatever they say at the end is the story I want to tell. Because I do not want to get to the end and we're offering a product and we sound super critical of it, because I would like you to get it if it's a good one. And I wouldn't like you to get it if it's a bad one. And so I'll make sure the story fits what they recommend at the end. So if I have to go back and cut out criticism, I will. And I won't remove it entirely. There's some valid criticism, but there's other things like, this thing smells weird. And they just say it because it's funny, it's stupid. They read some of the broken English and some of the packets sometimes because it's comical when it says PC run good. That's just funny. It's a little goofy. It's nice, but it doesn't need to be there if they also had 8 other criticisms. No, at some point you're beating a dead horse, and they're going to turn around and recommend it to you, and it's going to seem like these guys will do anything for money. And the reality is we had a week of waiting and it went down $100, so now we recommend it. But we maybe didn't voice that as well as we should have, so now it seems weird. So I will fix that up in post. Some that I think are a little weird, but they are technically lies. But I don't think anyone would call it this way, but I feel it this way, which is, let's say Matt and Jackson, they're playing their game, they get a kill, and they go, whoo, they got a great kill. All right. Well, let's say they get the kill, and then they're so locked in, it takes a second, they go, kill. Whoo, that kill was good. There's that pause. That pause is boring. So what I might do is shift the footage so that it's kill immediately followed by the ooh. So it's a reaction right after. At some points, Jackson screams because they're joking around, they're playing, and so he screams, but he screams kind of like out of nowhere. But just a second later, something cool happens, and then he goes, ah, I replaced that with the scream because the scream is more fun. That's a lie. He didn't scream at that moment, but it's easy to move the footage and make it look like he did. Does that one really affect you? No, it's not going to say go buy or don't buy this product, but it's not the truth of what happened. Those ones are the really gray ones where I'm like, I try to avoid them, honestly, if I can. I like to get the real reactions first. But if a video is truly boring without the fake ones, and I say fake, these second delay, these slight adjustments, they're just not the real thing that happened, then I will go back and add in that, and I won't add a note because there's no point to say, hey, by the way, this isn't the scream he did. It just takes the fun from you and from the video. Nobody really wins in those areas where I lie. But I just think it's an odd question to ask, and there are ethics for journalism, and I wonder if there will ever be ethics for editing because there's just so many easy ways to manipulate the footage to give you the impression I want you to have. It's not hard either. It's not like it takes a genius to do it, and you can even do it on accident. So my question to you is just, do you think that's true? Do you think there should be a moral argument for editing and what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing? I remember when the Gamers Nexus take apart came down of Linus after that big whole drama that I don't personally care about. I'm not a big, first off, YouTube drama guy. Second off, care about tech as much as I do edit it. Like I edited a ton, but it's not like my bag. So I usually get my input and opinions from Matt and Jackson directly. They tell me and I go, ooh, unga bunga, good. I'm happy enough with the stuff I got. That's all I know. So when that came out, I remember there was a question about when it's ethical to put text on screen versus tell the audience. He's like, well, they may not be looking, so it's your job to make sure. And I don't know if it is. I don't know how much honest we put onto the viewer to do their research and not to eat our opinion. Just because we got bigger doesn't mean it's our fault we got big. You know what I mean? We put out content. We want to do well. We want to get viewership. And we want to have support from friends, family, and beyond, hopefully. But is it our fault if we made a mistake, we put text on screen, that we didn't record a voice line to correct it? Is that okay? Or are we being dishonest to our viewer because they may not see it because they're listening to it like a podcast because that's the way they take in their media? How much responsibility lies on you? There's always the super capitalistic way of saying it's your job to just make money, and it's their job to pay you or consume it, and that's what we do. And then if they want to be this person making money, they can make the content themselves. So otherwise, they have no say, which I don't truly believe in. And I'm not so socialistic to think, and maybe I'm using capitalistic and socialistic wrong, but I think the idea that that you owe nothing to your people who support you is harsh and rude and not fair to say, and I would say downright wrong. But I draw that line somewhere. If you slip on a wet floor and there's a wet floor sign there, I don't know that you should be able to make a big fuss about it. Those are the sorts of things where I don't know. Is a wet floor sign, is sorry text on screen enough, or do I need to get a whole barrier? Which one makes it moral? I don't know. Thank you for listening to me not know a lot of things. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time. Peace.